Hey guys, it's Jaylene. Welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit. I'm your host, Jaylene.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Reyes.
That's right, guys. So today we wanted to talk about different controversial topics that I'm sure you guys have heard of online. So I have a
Controversial.
couple questions for you, Chris. I'm going to ask for your input on them, okay?
Ooh. And I didn't even read them beforehand.
Yeah, so we're going to catch
I'm
everyone
a little
on the
nervous,
spot.
guys. Let's see what she has for me.
Chris,
Jaylene.
what has been your experience with relationships?
Ooh. Romantic or
Yes.
friendships?
Romantic.
Oh, we're going straight to the good stuff.
Yep.
Sheesh. Okay. Well, look, this is my 2 cents, my two takes on this. Let's see. Romantic relationships, look, even from a early age, I guess we could trace it back to early ages.
Okay.
I had my first girlfriend before kindergarten, if you could believe that. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like my sister, like it was my like next door neighbor, and like my sister kind of like made it happen. Like I didn't even want to like hold her hand, and my sister's like, "You guys should hold hands," and I'm like, "What? You guys should kiss," and like just crazy, and I'm like, "What?"
Instigated.
Yeah, she did. Well, she was like my wing woman.
Okay.
I would get in trouble with my parents. She would be like, "Oh yeah," she would defend me. Like she would come to the rescue. My sister was, she was cool. Now, well, we get along. Let's just say that. But yeah, that's really where it all started. Then I say like around middle school. What happened in middle school? Oh yeah, I would get bullied. So I didn't really have that many girlfriends. Like other little kids are like, oh, I have a girlfriend and this and that. I was just like to myself, I'm like, I have my friends. Oh, I want to just play games with them and do all that sort of stuff. So I kind of did that, and even high school, like not much serious relationships. I see
Yep.
like ask a girl out, you're official, everything. It was
So
after high school.
so what would you say that you have learned? So you said you haven't dated very much, but what have you learned from your past relationships? What is something that actually really stuck to you?
So something that I did learn from myself and then just watching other people have relationships at such a young age is that like choose wisely. Choose
Yeah.
wisely who you're going to spend most of your time with because they're going to at the end of the day they're going to be influencing you.
Yep.
And I would see these, high schoolers, like ninth graders, 10th graders, they'd get into relationships that were toxic and just really bad. And
Yeah.
they try to make it work, then other people would get involved and their parents would get involved. And
You
it was
see,
just
it's
like,
not working.
yeah. So then, like, their
Yeah.
grades would go down. They wouldn't want to do sports. It would affect their whole life. And then I saw my high school career. I had the best grades, well, some of the best grades and everything. Towards the end, I started tapering off because then that's when I'm like, I should, start talking to some girls and kind of show them my grades and my dedication. But that's what happens when you don't put any standards, choose the people that you actually want in your life and not
Yep.
just like at the mercy of your high school, people.
Yeah.
Like you're bound to have a bad relationship.
I do believe that as more time passes, you do become more mature and you do become more selective. And you start to realize that you want peace in your life. Like for me, I want love, but I don't want anything toxic in my life. If I'm in a relationship and I see that it's going downhill, now I can understand those patterns and say, hey, this is no longer good for me. So I think as a person, you should have your non negotiables. You should say, hey, this is who I am. A relationship is a part of me, it's not my whole life. I see a lot of people get into relationships and at some point they stop living their life. They stop having friends, they stop going out to places, they stop being around their family, and they cut off everything from their life. And at that point, once the relationship ends, they lose their identity. In order for you to not lose your identity, you really have to say, these are my non negotiables. You are my relationship partner. We're together. This is a partnership, but you're an addition to my life. I also have my friends, I have my parents, I have my siblings, and that's never going to change. I have to make time for all those parts of my life because they're important to me, you know? So I think as humans, we have to be very selective. And at the end of the day, you know, love yourself enough to walk away if you see things are not doing well. If your grades are going down, if you're with someone that's toxic, or really if you're not happy. Because a lot of times people stay in relationships because of comfort, because they've been there 10 years.
Ooh,
If it's
yeah,
not
that-
working, leave.
Yeah, those 10-year relationships, I don't even know. Even when it goes on the 2-year mark and then they have kids, like, to be honest, I don't really know what to suggest to them. I mean, I don't have kids myself, and you don't have kids either. But it's like, it gets really messy once they have kids, because it's like those kids then grow up with that trauma, or then they grow up with, hey, I don't have both parents, you know, hey, why do some people have both parents in their lives? And
But let me ask you this, Chris. Do you think it's best for the parents to stay together? Or do you think it's better, if obviously it's not working, that they split ways? Because I think it can get very messy when two people are obviously not good for each other and they stay there. And maybe they were good 1 year, but the other 9 years were horrible. Maybe there's domestic violence. Maybe there is, like, you know, just a lot of things going on in their life and they stay there. No.
Yeah, like, well, in extreme situations where, like, there's domestic violence, like, for sure separate, because that's really crazy. But then, like, in other situations where maybe they're just, you know, fights, you know, just kind of petty stuff, I don't really know, because like the old me would have been like, no, like, get rid of them. But then, like, I don't really know their situation, you know, and, like, only they know what's going on at the end of the day.
So I believe a
So-
relationship is like a plant.
Yeah.
You have to water it. Both people have to water it, because at some point it's going to die if you don't. Both people have to put effort every single day to make it work. And so when you do have a partner and you really want it to work because you really love this person, you have to start setting these new boundaries and saying, hey, like, you know, let's not make bromas pesadas. You know, let's not, like, put music that is negative, that makes us feel bad. You know, let's not make these little jokes like, oh, voy con las viejas, or oh, voy a hacer esto. Why?
Yeah.
Because all that stuff creates insecurities in the relationships. And at some point, now you don't trust your partner. And for me, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I want to be 100%. I'm going to give that person everything I have, because I'm going to show up as the best person that I am. So I do believe that if a relationship is not working, communicate with your partner and see, hey, is it something's bothering you and we're not connecting? What is it? Talk to me. And if it's that person maybe has someone else, or maybe that you're not what that person is looking for, it's better to know, you know, at that moment than to wait 10 years and then say, wow, I wasted my time. I knew you were a red flag and I stayed there. No. Do what makes you happy.
No, yeah, that's what I did in my last relationship. So it did last for a year. However, I did put on like every quarter. So every 3 months, I would kind of check and evaluate myself.
Yes.
Like, am I happy in here? Am I fulfilled?
Yeah.
Do I see myself growing with this person? Do I not see myself growing with this
Wow.
person?
I like that.
So, and then it's kind of funny. I actually made an official contract with this person, and then she signed it, an exclusive relationship with her. Some people might think it's
Wow.
weird, but I was just like,
Elaborate. I want to hear this. I don't know what that is.
well,
Chris.
yeah, look, so I'm in real estate. We do contracts, and when people work with us, or when I have a client, I want them to exclusively work with me, so they can't go with other clients. So I kind of found something on the internet where it was like something similar, and, like, you know, I checked on the boxes, and I'm like, things that we can do, cannot do. Our finances are going to be tied up, are they not? So just kind of like outlining what the relationship's going to look like. And it's kind of funny, cute, and at the time, well, yeah, it was funny, cute. Like now I'm just like, I don't know, maybe that's too much, but it's pretty. But now thinking about it, I think it's pretty cool because it's like you could show that person like, hey, when we first started the relationship, we said that we were gonna work on ourselves, or
Yep.
we're gonna be going to the gym, or
Yep.
we're gonna be like learning, and so it does kind of set forward like the just like the what word am I looking for? Just like
Standards for the
this, yeah, like
relationship.
the
I
standards, the
like it.
backbones of the
Yeah.
relationship, so that everybody's clear on what this relationship's gonna look like and what it's gonna lead to, in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all have different goals, and you have to make sure that the person you're with aligns with those goals too, that they want the same things in life as you.
So I'm probably
You
gonna do
know?
that in the future. To be
Yeah.
honest, next
For
girlfriend.
for me with my partner, we meet on Sundays and we do reflect on things that bother us, things that we don't really like. I think with your partner, that is the person you should have the most communication with. That is the person that you should say, "Hey, babe, I don't really like this." Or, with my partner, sometimes we're like, hey, I'm doing this, boom, aquí una selfie, oh, esto, oh, voy a hacer lo otro. Like, I think it's good to have a relationship with your partner where there is a lot of trust, there is a lot of love, and boundaries too. With my partner, I definitely set those where I say, hey, I love you, I care for you, I want to make sure we're growing together. What does that mean? It means, we don't do things that put us in positions to hurt each other. We don't really like, I mean, my partner doesn't really go out anyways, which is good because we align. We're on the same goals in life, but we also set goals for each other like, hey, working out. For me, if my partner was to tell me, hey, I don't feel comfortable with you going to the gym, I want you to stop going, that is a non negotiable for me. Unfortunately, I would say, hey, like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to stop going to the gym. I love you. I care for you, but this is a part of my life. And that is non negotiable. This podcast, there's a lot of things, my business that I'm growing. So I think in a relationship, yes, you should give that person comfort. Yes, you should make that person feel better, but you should also have those boundaries where you're like, hey, these are non negotiables. I'm not going to lose who I am for a relationship. I don't want to lose myself, you know? So, Chris,
Jaylene.
let's talk about roles. Because we do come
Yeah.
from a Hispanic community, and usually the Hispanic community, the roles are, oh, the man goes to work and the mujer stays en la casa, limpia, lava, does everything
Yeah.
at home. And it's a little bit frowned upon for a woman to work. Maybe not now here in the United States so much. I think that times have changed. But what is your input on that? I would really like to know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get canceled for sure.
No, guys, we're not gonna get canceled.
No,
It's
but look, roles have definitely changed, or I guess the meaning of it. I
okay.
feel like the underlying meaning of what attracts each like gender
Okay.
is still the same, but just like on how it looks like in the modern day era, it's different. Because I mean, traditionally, yeah, like you said, men were the ones that were working, were going out to the field, and dealing with the animals, the cattle, the farm,
Yeah.
working the land, and then the woman would just be there to help, clean the clothes, cook the food, all that traditional stuff. And how we could see this in like the modern day era is just that we don't have farms, so like most people don't work in farms. Most people have office jobs or just things that we could do on the laptop. So it's not like hard labor. So like you said, I feel like nowadays it is like a partnership.
Yeah.
We're both people. They do their hustle, their career, and they come together and
Yeah.
they
Make it work.
make it work, right? Like and
I
like you
like
said,
that.
like typically what the man does lead, but I mean there's moments where the woman has a big input or has the last say.
Yeah, for sure. What I believe is men and women don't compete. They complete each other.
There we go.
You know, and at the end of the day, both roles are important. I do believe, me personally, I do believe a man should lead. And I'm going to tell you why, though. Okay? Because I know this is a little bit controversial. Hopefully, we don't get canceled for this,
We're
guys.
getting canceled.
But look, at the end of the day, okay, you're going to attract your opposite. If you're in a relationship, and let's say you're the woman, and you are in your masculine energy, you're going to attract a feminine man. Okay? So what I learned from myself is in the past, I had men that were maybe not fulfilling their spot as a man. You know, maybe they weren't working. They didn't earn the respect to be in their masculine energy. Okay? And so I think, like, if you're not providing, if you're not taking care of your girl, if you're not doing those things, at some point the girl's like, hey, I can't trust this man. He can't take care of me. He says he's going to do something and maybe he doesn't keep his word, right? So now he lost all his credibility. So as a girl, now you're like, hey, you know what? No, I'm going to lead. I'm going to, you know, make sure that we can pay our rent. We're going to do this. And sometimes roles switch. Sometimes you see the girl in her masculine energy because her man is in his feminine energy. And so when it comes to that topic, I truly believe that you have to decide what you want to be and who you want to be with. For me, at some point I realized, hey, I had been hurt in the past, and so I had my guard up all the time. So I was always in my masculine energy, right? And I was like, hey, I'm a boss girl. I work, I make the money. And I would attract men that were a little bit scared of that. They're like, yeah, whatever you say, babe. Yes, we'll do that. And at some point I realized, like, hey, that's also kind of boring. No, I don't want to decide everything. You know what? I want to be a boss girl. You know, I want to have my business. I want to lead people, teach people. But when I get home, I want to be cute. I want to be taken care of. I want to be led, you know? And so the role that you play is very important. At some point I realized I will be myself. I'll have that strong energy outside. But when I'm home, I am going to let my man lead, because if I'm with him, it's because I trust him, because he has earned that credibility. Not everyone deserves it. I don't think every man deserves that role, but I do believe a good man that works on himself, that is smart, that is constantly keeping his word, working, and he doesn't even have to like mantenerte, but more than anything, it's someone that has built the credibility. And so now in a relationship, that's what I look for. Someone that comforts me, someone that makes me feel good, and that way I can be in my cute feminine energy and he can lead me, he can guide me, because, you know, at the end of the day, in the Bible, it says a man should lead, you know, and so those are my beliefs on that.
Yeah,
What
and
is your
we're
intake?
saying that, like, in a relationship, right? Like, you in a relationship, but like even so I do believe it, but like I do agree with you. And then also, like, what we're saying, that like outside of that, like in friendships, like we'll have like women lead, because like you yourself, like you said, you're a leader. And like even at the gym, like, you know, we'll take turns leading. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you do the workout. All right, Chris, do the workout, and we'll take turns. And for me, it's no biggie. I'm like, okay, I'll let Jaylene lead. You know, I'm not saying, oh, I can't let a girl, like, you know, lead me and show me these workouts. And other guys do have that ego.
Yeah.
They will have that ego of like, oh, you're getting trained by a girl and this. I'm like, yeah, she pushes me.
We push each other.
Yeah,
and,
we
you
push
know,
each other, and then, you know, some
it's
days,
great.
you know, you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, hey, let's do it.
And, you know, I truly believe that it doesn't matter if it's man and man, woman, man and woman. At the end of the day, there's always a role. There's the masculine role and there's a feminine role. And
Okay.
in a partnership, there's always going to be both. You know, and so that's when you can analyze who your partner is and see, you know, am I in my feminine energy, or am I in my masculine energy? Like, something that I learned that was really important to me and has changed my outlook on how I see things, and my little brother actually taught me this. But basically, it's a man will stay with a woman because of how she makes him feel. And the reason I really like that is because it is
True.
100% true. My brother gave me this example. Okay, if you're with a girl and you're with your friends, okay, and your girl comes and says, ¿Qué estás haciendo? ¿Estás jugando videojuegos? ¿Sabes qué? Agarra tus cosas, lárgate, tell your friends to leave, right? One, she just took all of his credibility. Maybe he is the owner of a very important, prestigious company. You know what? Even if those are his workers, she took all of his credibility as a man. Because now when he goes back to work, his friends are going to be like, dang, bro, tu girl te tiene así, te tiene así, right? And one, that's embarrassing, Two, imagine this, guys. Imagine you are with your girl at home and your friends are there as well, and she says, hey babe, están jugando videojuegos, mira, les hiciste palomitas, aquí están sodas, if you guys need something, let me know, okay? Now his friends are like, wow, you have this amazing girl, she's beautiful, she's smart, and she takes care of you like a queen, a king, like, wow, I really need someone like that in my life. And so really, it does matter, like, how you treat your man. Don't take that credibility from him as a man. Let him lead. Let him feel good in front of his friends. Empower him to feel better.
And that's where communication comes into play. Because if you communicate, hey, babe, can my friends come over? And like, is that okay with you? That's when, your wife, your girlfriend's going to be like, hey, no, babe, I feel real bad right now. Or like, hey, maybe not tonight, maybe some other night. Or, hey, yeah, bring them over. Cool. Like, I'll make you guys some popcorn and everything. So you guys are on the same page. But then when, like, you start not communicating, it's like, oh, hey, babe, sorry, my friends are here. I forgot to tell you. Something could be really going on with your wife or your girlfriend where she was like, oh, I wanted to tell him about, my grandma dying. Or, hey, like, I feel really bad today. Like, I can't, like, I don't want nobody. I just want to just, like, go to bed early. Yeah, or I miss you. I wanted to spend time with you. Like, I haven't seen you in a week. You've been just hustling and working away.
Yeah.
So that's where communication comes into play. And that's when you're like, hey, let's help each other.
Yeah.
And that's in every relationship, too.
But you know what else is very important, though?
What's important?
The person that you're with is also on that same level as you. What do I mean by that? Is the person that you're with also growing? Is the person that you're with on the same page, Because if you are a girl, and let's say you're very hardworking, maybe you have your business, your successful business, and let's say your husband is also a successful business owner, but you like to stay in, you like to clean your house, you like to, take care of everything, and your husband is a social butterfly, and he likes to be at the bars, and he likes to go out. At some point, you have to see, is this working for me? Are we on the same page or not? I think that there's certain things that you can allow. For me, like me personally, it wouldn't bother me if my boyfriend said, hey, my cousin, my friends are coming over, whatever. But if it's, hey, we're going out, we're drinking, we're doing this, we're doing that, at some point, I would be like, hey, babe, I don't really drink. I don't really go out. That's not the environment I want to be in. And being with someone that constantly is in that environment is going to drag me down. Why? Because now I have doubts. Now I'm like, hey, this person is out every weekend with his friends. They're drinking, they're this, they're that. And at some point, I'm growing and I see this person staying in the same spot, doing the same things with his friends. I don't feel connected to that person anymore. And at some point, I'm going to leave.
And he's not going to value the things you do because, like, you're going to be like, hey, and I'm going to read books, work on myself, go to the gym.
Yeah.
But say he doesn't really do it as much, or he's going to be like, oh, why do you do that? Oh,
Yep.
what? He's not going to have the same importance or level of importance.
Yep.
And it's going to start showing. Like, I know in my last relationship, I was in real estate and she was, like, in the medical industry.
Okay.
And she didn't really understand, like, probably like 80% of the things that would go on work.
Of course.
So I couldn't really explain to her. I'm just like, oh, I would have to explain it to her in like, layman's terms. And even then I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to talk to her about it. And then she probably felt the same too. She was like, oh, this and that, babe. And I'm like, oh, what? So when I would do something about, so in real estate, you're basically always on the job. Client calls at 8 p.m. Hey, Chris, this and that, or like
Yeah.
you get a referral. It's like it's like
Yeah.
you're constantly on. Maybe when you hit the bed, hit the hay, get up. That's the only time where you're just like sleeping, resting, taking time off of
Yeah.
work, but you're on. And she didn't really understand that. So like when I'd be like, "Hey, babe, let's go show some houses, and afterwards we could go out and eat." She'd be like, "No, no, no, you go do your stuff, and I stay home. Once you're finished with your stuff, pick me up." And I'm like, man, and it goes back to the roles, like, hey, like, help me, like, as a woman, like, help me out, like, you just have to sit in the car, you know.
Well, I'm gonna say this though. At the end of the day, it depends what type of relationship you have,
Hmm.
because the same thing is not going to work for all relationships.
That's true.
Okay, so there are many partnerships where they work different industries. They go, they come home, they cuddle, they're happy together, and they love each other. You know, but in your situation, it looks like what was missing is someone who supported you, because your business
Mm.
is literally your whole entire life. You're always working. So you needed someone who could help you maybe with social media, someone who can show you support, especially being in the real estate industry. It's a tough industry to be in. So I'm sure at some point you're like desanimado and you're just like, you know what? Like, I really don't feel like going to work. Like, there's no clients, this, that. And then you have someone that's pissed off because you're on the phone trying to make calls, trying to get clients. Then you're just like, okay, maybe I should find a different industry. See, that's someone that is pushing you, pulling you back rather than pushing you forward. So I
Yeah.
do believe the person you're with is very important. Does this person make me better, or does this person make me worse? And
Yeah, that's true. And like for her, I think like maybe she's better off with somebody that has like a schedule, like a set schedule. It's like, hey, I clock in from this time to that time, and work's over. Like
yeah.
I forget about work, and because that's how she was. She would clock out, and that's it. And then like it was her time. So it was just like that. I guess it just different environments, just different worlds. What do you want
Okay,
to ask me?
Chris. So going back to relationships, do you have any chismecito, any stories to tell us? I feel like you got all the good stories.
Look, I'll give you a good story on how kind of like my relationship last year
Okay.
like kind of cracked, and it was crazy. Like I was kind of flabbergasted, but like and I'll tell you this: all humans could do that. It's in all humans that we have that kind of like that evil or that dark, you know.
Okay.
And so look, this is the story. Like going back to like what you said about how it's important how a woman makes a guy feel. I believe that 100%. And like I don't know if it's se estaba haciendo or she kind of I don't know. But this is the story. You ready, guys?
Yes.
We were at this like little event party thing, right? And we had another party to go to. We had to go, or we were going to go to her sister's party. It was like at, uh,
Hmm.
and before we leave, I see somebody that from my past, and I want to go say hi to this dude. So I go to the back kitchen. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh, what's up, man?" I mean, we had like our our past, our
Yeah.
differences. So at the beginning, he didn't even know if I was gonna like hit him or scream at him. But I was like, hey, it's in the past. Things happen. So we say what's up, we catch up, and I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna be back to the party. He's like, yeah, yeah. Like he was running. Well, he was helping run the event because he was like kind of like part owner of the event center. Bless you. And so I go back, and then I want some drinks, and I'm like, we get some drinks, and then like my girlfriend at the time, she spills my drink somehow. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, hey, don't worry, I'm gonna go get some towels, and she goes with me. But before then, that guy, he comes out, and he has like a Cuban chain, he has like a watch, and then my girlfriend at the time points out, she's like, damn, that chain is like $10,000, and I'm just like, I was like, what are you noticing his chain for? I was like, okay.
Tóxico.
Like, yeah, like in the beginning, you know, like I'm telling you, and then my head is like, oh, I'm being toxic. Like, let me stop. So, so when she spills that drink, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go get a towel from the back. That's where he's at. So she follows me to the back, and we're just talking again. I'm like, hey, my girlfriend spilled the drink. You have any towels? And yeah, he has some towels. He started talking and talking, and then I'm like, hey, well, my girlfriend was kind of curious about that chain. I'm not gonna be toxic. I'm gonna ask him about his chain. Yeah, so I
Oh.
so I asked him. I'm like, hey, bro, where'd you get your chain from? He was like, oh, I got it from California. I'm like, how much was it? He was like 15K. And that's when I see my girlfriend kind of her eyes lit up, and that's when he started talking about, oh yes, and I also know Banda Recoditos. And then my girlfriend's like, oh, let me know. And like she was
Let me
just
know is
like
crazy.
at one point I felt like I got left out of the conversation. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, hello, I'm here too. Like, what? So then I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Like, that's it.
They
Come
that's
sit
okay,
down.
talk and this and that. No, and so then I'm like, hey bro, like it was nice talking to you. We gotta go in a few. Let's connect. Let me get your number. And then guess what she says? Guess what?
I don't want to know what.
Me too.
Uh,
I'm like, I just look at her. I'm like, are you serious?
you didn't say anything?
I no, because I'm not gonna make myself look bad. I'm not gonna make myself look insecure. Because why am I gonna start getting mad and, oh, what the fuck? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna play it cool. I'm like, okay, well. So once we get out of the event, I did go crazy. I went ape shit. I went ape shit. I'm not gonna go into details on what was said, but it was basically just screaming at her all the way towards Real de Minas. I think it was like a 15-minute drive. And we're done, this and that. And then she was like, it wasn't like that. Well, like her personality is like, if she saw me that I was crazy. So she kind of shut down, and she was just quiet.
Well, I like the part of you correcting in private because I think that is very important. You
But
don't
I
want
kind
to
of
do.
overdid it.
I don't
I'm
think
not
you
gonna.
should do a whole escándalo
Yeah,
like
like I'm
right
not gonna
there in
do
front
that.
of people because one,
Yeah.
you embarrass yourself. Your partner, that person feels awkward. Now they're probably not your friend anymore.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
it
he's not
is
my friend.
it is disrespectful.
I might have him
Um,
on Facebook, but he's not my friend.
I do think that is very disrespectful though. Like, why would you get someone else's number? Like, there's
Especially
certain
when
things
I
you
got it
don't
already.
do.
It's like, hey, I
But
already got his number. If he's gonna invite us backstage to Banda Recoditos or Recodo, I'm gonna, he's gonna hit me up, and I'm gonna invite you, of course. Like, think, girls. Like, well, benefit of the doubt. Maybe she, like I said, we all have that in us. Cause then sometimes we get excited, everything. We're like, oh, this and that, and we're not really thinking like that. So we all have that kind of darkness of kind of betrayal in a sense. It's kind of crazy, but that's just me.
I don't believe. I think that's very disrespectful to be
Is
honest.
this the
Because if
first
you
time I tell you this?
if I've heard it before, but
Oh,
not
okay.
this detailed.
Oh,
But something
jeez.
I do want to tell you, Chris, is that I don't believe in shouting to your partner. It doesn't matter how angry you are.
Why do you
I
think I'm single?
I believe that once you start working on yourself, you learn to communicate properly.
Oh yeah.
And like now I'm very selective with that. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not yelling at you. Let's talk about it. What is the issue? How can it be fixed? And again, this is going back to how you fix your relationship and how you can make it last years. You both have to water it. If that really
Hmm.
did bother you, what reaction are you going to get out of her when you yell? Like you said, you made her shut down. Now she's not talking. Now you guys go home. You sleep in different beds or whatever. You don't talk the whole next day. It's a small issue that just expanded. So for
Hmm.
me, I'm very big on communication because, yeah, sometimes I am going to mess up. I might do something that is wrong, but I prefer for my partner to correct me in private and tell me, hey, you know what? You did this. That is very disrespectful, and that's a non negotiable for me. This is the last time you do that. And if you do this again, then we're done. Because now I'm like, wow, I have two choices: do that again
Hmm.
and he's gonna break up with me, or change. and maybe I didn't know it hurt his feelings that much.
Yeah.
Or even if she did do it with that intention, maybe she wanted to get you jealous or something.
And I like now looking at it, I really don't think she wanted to get me jealous. Like, she's not like that. She wasn't like that.
So, at the end of the day, it's the way that you communicate with them, because you're going to get two different reactions. One, from shouting at her, you're going to make her upset, shut down, avoidant. If you can communicate about it properly, then maybe you actually get the response you were looking for. Maybe it's, hey, you know what? This seems like a key person to have in our life. Maybe he can get us into these events. Maybe we can meet these people. You never know people's perspective unless you ask. But if it is a non-negotiable, you got to let them know, Chris. Like, hey, you know what? That is the last time this happens. I love you. I care for you. But if you do that again, I'm leaving.
Yeah, and that was the best choice I could have done. Like, going back, I should have done that. Cause I even told him, like, are you dumb? Like, when we got in the car, I'm like, are you dumb? Like, the first thing.
Labeling, I see. No.
Yeah, it was bad.
Non-negotiable in a relationship.
So like, it was bad already. Like, from like my first words. So it could have played out different. I could have been like, hey, what you did, like you said, like what you did back there, like that was not okay. I don't see that as okay. Don't do that. And then she even told me, like, hey, I'll delete his phone number. I'll block him. Like, she was even trying to fix him. Be like, hey, I'll what do you want me to do? I messed up.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do. Tell me what's gonna make you happy.
I do believe in like problem solving in a relationship, because I'm gonna tell you this: when you have a partner, you guys love each other, right? And there's a problem, it escalates. If you let them do them and you do you, at some point there's more tension. If that person is telling you, hey babe, let's talk about it now, I know you're mad, but let's just talk about it, put everything on the table so we can see what has to be done or what has to be changed. Now, hey, I shouldn't do this again, I'm sorry, it's done with. You don't have to keep like bringing it up in a relationship, because I think a lot of marriages
that's important.
fail because your wife or your husband did something 5 years ago and you still remember, still pisses you off, but now you keep bringing it up every time you're in a fight.
Crazy.
Now it's a very toxic relationship, because every time one little argument comes up, maybe that person has a whole 10 arguments stacked up. I remember when you did this, you did this. My rule that I have with my partner is we only talk about things once and we fix it then and there. And that has really helped my relationship. This is actually the first time I have ever tried that in my relationship. But truly, like, what is the issue? What can we do to fix it? Once it's talked about, we don't bring it up anymore because it's already been fixed. We don't have to keep going around on it, And even like the communication. My partner yells at me. I'm like, hey, lower your voice because we're communicating. And if you don't, then I'm going to leave. I'm not even going to.
Like that video. If this is you, you better watch your tone.
No, because then you're both yelling at each other and you're not even, at that point, your defense mechanism is up. You have your guards up. Now you're not even listening to what that person is saying. You're just talking to respond rather than saying, how do we actually fix this? We're a partnership. I love you. I'm so sorry I did that. Let's fix it.
It's you and your partner against the problem, not you against your partner.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of marriages fail, because they can't communicate properly. All these things stack up, and at some point you feel like you are against your partner, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, and that's the same thing in business. Like, even every transaction, like even the other party, the other agent, you want to treat it as a team. Like, hey, how can we all win? Instead of negotiating, instead of like going against them, making it hard, hey, why can't it be easy and we could all be friends and come into an agreement, something that works? At the end of the day, we're both trying to get paid here. We're both trying to get our clients the best deal or a fair deal, and buy or sell real estate.
Yeah.
Same thing with the relationship. At the end of the day, we want to keep each other together. How can we fight this financial problem? How can we fight this, social problem, or this, this situation?
And I agree. In life insurance is the same with your agents. You build relationships, and if you want it to last, you have to take care of it. What is the issue? How do we fix it? You know?
Yeah.
And is the good thing about it is that there's a lot of people out there. I've been hurt in the past, and I always believe in love. I always believe in partnerships or working with other people, trust, hope. Why? Because I'm those things. So I believe there is those things out there. And for me, with my partner, something that I really love is that I'm constantly learning new things from him. Okay, he's also in business. You know, he does real estate, he does taxes,
Yeah, that's good.
and what I really love is that when I met him, I was not in business. I was a more of a 9 to 5 person. But you know what? I admired what he did so much. And as a man, he made me believe in him. He had the credibility, he kept his word, and I was like, dang, there's so much I can learn from him. You know, so he would take me with him to his showings and I would be so happy to learn. You know, he's the one that taught me how to talk in front of the camera and how to feel comfortable talking to people and how to believe in myself. So you know what? Like maybe the person that you were with loved you and cared for you, but maybe that was not what you needed. Because at the end of the day, if she wasn't making you better, then it was holding you back.
It was making me bitter.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes we stay there because we're like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm comfortable. I love this person." But you know what? At the end of the day, maybe you weren't fulfilling her and she wasn't fulfilling you. Like, I know you aspire to be great in the real estate industry and you are, but you need someone that matches that energy.
This turned to a therapy session.
Yeah, Chris. I had to get something off my chest for you. We've talked about this before.
We have,
You know,
like,
and
a few times. And
like at the end of the day, there's so many people out there. Sometimes you can't lose hope. You can't say, "Oh, all girls are like this. All men are
and
bad." No.
that's a horrible mindset to
No.
have, because I see and look, I get it. Like most guys, you know, kind of suck. You know, I'm gonna admit it.
I wouldn't say that.
I look, maybe 50% just totally suck. There's like hope for like another 30, and 20 are like, you know, just on their shit. Like, even, have you heard of the 80-20 rule?
Yes. Of
I
course.
believe that with guys. Like 80% suck, 20% are just, they're good. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. What I was going to say was, like, I get it, you know? Guys suck. But girls that be like, oh, why are guys like this? All guys are the same. You know, they be...
Why you try them all?
Yeah. So, and then they're really just talking bad about themselves, because that's the guys that they're exposing themselves to. That's the guys they talk to.
Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Chris, I love that you said that because in my past, I would attract the wrong men all the time.
Yeah.
And
what
I
would you say?
was seriously, I was like, why? Like,
Men ain't
how?
shit.
Yeah, like I meet someone, you know, like, oh, this happens, that happens, this is horrible. No, all men are like this.
Yeah.
Play them first, do
Ooh.
this, that. But you know what? A lot of that was programming. You know, I would hear, like, especially my parents, you know, I would hear, like, they separated when I was young. You know, I was probably like 10 years old. And they had a lot of conflicts. And at some point, all that programming goes to effect. You know, I'm like, yeah, I heard that from my parents. That is true. All men are like that. Or, you know, all women are like this. But you know what? No. There's
No.
so many good people out there, but it's also the energy that you're vibrating on. Because if I'm a girl who is out partying every weekend at the clubs, what type of men am I actually meeting out there? If I'm a girl who's, you know what, I'm home, I'm working on myself, I'm reading books, I'm learning a new skill, now I'm vibrating at a higher frequency. And I'm going to attract a man with those conversations that is on the same frequency as me. You know, you can't, like, this is literally a numbers game. Like, at the end of the day, you have to connect with someone at your level. That is 100% true. The more you work on yourself, the more successful you become, and the higher quality people are in your life.
Have you ever heard of the reticular activation system?
No. What is that?
RIS.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah,
In the back of your
basically, you buy a Tesla,
Mhm.
a white Tesla. What do you start seeing in the road on the road?
Yeah, white Teslas everywhere.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
it's everything, and like that's everything in life. You start thinking rich. Hey, money flows to me easily and my way. What are you gonna see in your
Yeah.
life? Hey, women are so amazing.
Yeah.
All women care. All
Yeah.
women are beautiful. What are you gonna see?
I also
You
believe
know?
though it's going to be your standards as well because I
Hmm.
believe when I was the broken version of myself, I was
Yeah.
still working on myself. I was early in the process, right?
Hmm.
I would attract a lot of broken people because we could connect, right? We were
Yeah.
vibrating on the same frequency. But at some point, you start to get higher standards. And when you start to see those red flags, you say, "Hey, you know what? I don't really like that. I don't really like the way that you just talked to me. I don't really like this that you did." And at some point, you see those red flags and you can walk away from it. One thing about me is when I'm in a relationship, I'm going to give 1,000% of me because, at the end of the day, I chose to be with this person. But I'm going to tell you something, I'm not going to put my money where I know I'm going to lose it. So at the end of the day, when you're with someone, it's because you love them, you're going to give it your all, you're going to trust this person, and you believe this person is going to lead you somewhere you want to be, not make you worse, not pull you back. What is your thoughts on that?
No, that's exactly what you said. That's why I'm single.
And it's
um,
good.
that's
Honestly,
what I'm
that's
saying.
not a
Yeah.
bad thing, to work on yourself, to build yourself. For me, it
You
was the
have
same
to.
thing. I was single for some time before I got with this partner, and I had that time to just focus on myself. And you know what? That is the time that I made the most money in my life. Why?
Yeah.
Because I was just busy, just working. Sometimes when you have partners in your life, you get more distracted. You start to slack a little bit more. So you have
Yeah.
to make sure that the partner that you're with pushes you to become better.
So this is the crazy part. Um, kind of like you said, like, and I've noticed this with myself too. Like once you start getting a little bit better, for example, like my last relationship, like I was seeing some progress. Like I
Mhm.
was working on myself. I was going to gym, this, that, that. So as soon as you start getting yourself a little bit better, like life is gonna throw deals at you, and it's like, hey, take this deal. Don't keep going. Like chill out. Just hey, there's this girl, she's cute. Take it. Deals are, hey, take this job. Take this job. It's going to pay you this much. Blah, blah, blah. Or, life is going to throw you those low hand deals and they're going to look good. They're going to be like, oh, hey, that's actually good. Should I keep working on myself? Like, grinding it out, going out, being lonely? Or should I just, take kind of like, oh, shit, it's right here. So I felt that, like, what was it, 2022? End of 2022? And that's the thing about people when they work on themselves. Like me as a guy, I could see it more and relate, talk about that more. But in general, like that's people. They work on themselves and then they start taking these, like what we call in real estate, lowball offers.
Mhm.
But like the thing is, like keep working on yourself until you find exactly what you're looking for. Because I was just like me, I should have asked more questions. I should have been like, what do I want in a relationship? What do I want from a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like and like I didn't ask myself like, hey, do I want her in this industry? Or hey, do I want her in, my industry so she can understand me and maybe make a partnership and work towards something, And that's the thing with, dating, experimenting, like having friends, seeing what works and doesn't.
Yeah.
But like don't sell yourself too quick is what I've learned from like relationships and
Yeah.
being in relationships.
I think it takes time. Like, you
Yeah.
have to be selective. You have to be very
Mhm.
selective because at the end of the day, your partner reflects you.
Yeah.
And that is very powerful. Your partner is a reflection of you, of
Mhm.
how well you guys treat each other. And so, yeah, you should be selective because you do deserve better.
Yeah, and that's why I say like 80% of guys suck cuz like they just want to get anything that life throws at them. They're like, "Oh, this girl paid attention to me. Oh, this. Okay." It's like, "No, dude, like stop. Like you don't
They,
even know if you like this girl. Like look, I'm going to tell you this, guys. they get, we're mostly attracted by looks. It's like a on and off switch. So it's like, oh, she's attractive to me, I'm gonna go for it. Or, oh, she's attracted to me, she talks to me, I'm gonna go for it. But like for women, I've noticed that it's more like a volume dial. So it's like, you gotta, like, it's more of the personality for the guy. Like, women look more into the personality of a guy and values and morals and all that stuff, which is good, and less on the attractive. Do you understand? But like a high value man is gonna look for those personality traits as well. Because you don't want to, at the end of the day, if you have a very attractive partner, but you cannot relate to that person, or that person is just, very narcissistic or just has a really bad attitude, what kind of life are you going to carry? Like, we basically agree with like 99.99% of the
Okay.
things. And we're just going to keep talking
Yeah,
until
I
we
just proved
actually
your
have
point.
a disagreement and make
We'll
this
make one.
podcast more interesting
Yeah,
and
okay.
eventually get no,
I
not get
know.
canceled. But
Okay. Chris, I think this has been a great podcast. We've touched a lot of different topics. This one was more on like the relationship side, but here at Financially Fit, we're going to be talking about everything from relationships, finances, what else, Chris? What else? Fitness,
fitness
journey,
twice.
um,
Yeah, everything.
everything.
Because really everything ties in to your financials,
Yep.
especially the person you choose that you're going to have or spend, most or the rest of your life with.
Yeah.
Has a great impact.
Yeah, I do believe have high standards in life. Have high standards in life with your partner, with your health, with your wealth, with your fitness. Take care of yourself, and that is how you build a successful business.
Preach.
We will see you guys on our next episode of Financially Fit. Chris, where can they find you?
They could find me on Snapchat, Casas con Cris, Facebook, Chris Reyes.
Ese es el mío, ese es el mío.
¿Ese es tuyo? A ver,
Jaylene Herrera Sainz en todas las plataformas digitales.
we don't have a Pinterest yet, but soon.